Welcome to the deep dive. You might be surprised, when you think about Japan's national sport, sumo wrestling probably springs to mind first.
Yeah, that's what most people assume. It has that really ancient history, that deep cultural connection. For ages, it was absolutely central.
It really was huge historical significance, but the interesting thing is how that sporting landscape has shifted.
It definitely has.
So today, we're diving into this really great guide from The Real Japan. It's by Rob Dyer. We want to figure out why baseball has become, well, so incredibly popular in Japan, maybe even more popular than sumo now.
And what makes actually going to a game, as Dyer puts it, so thrilling? His stuff on therealjapan.com really gets into it.
Okay, let's get into that. How did baseball take over like this, especially in a country with, such strong traditions like sumo?
Well, Dyer points out that sumo, despite its history, has hit a few bumps. There were some corruption scandals,
Whoa.
and also more foreign-born wrestlers started dominating the top ranks. For some fans, maybe that weakened the connection a bit.
Yeah. I could see that. Created a bit of an opening.
Sort of, yeah. And baseball was already there,
Yeah.
It wasn't some brand new thing.
It already had roots, didn't it?
Deep roots, surprisingly. Dyer really stresses this wasn't just like cultural imperialism. It grew pretty organically within Japan.
So not forced on them.
Not at all. You see kids playing it everywhere. It's massive in high schools. It's just woven into the culture, much like in the U.S.
Right.
Plus, the pro season is long, like 8 months long, starting in April. So it's always kind of there in the background.
8 months, that's serious commitment. And you mentioned its origins weren't forced. Who actually brought it over? It wasn't like part of some big official push.
No, it was much more low-key than that. The credit goes to an American English professor, Horace Wilson.
A professor?
Yep, back in 1872. He introduced the game, and it clicked. It took hold really fast, considering.
Wow, from one guy teaching English to a national obsession, how did it scale up from there?
Well, Dyer mentions the first pro game started popping up in the 1920s. And then, boom, 1936, they formed the first proper professional league. And it's just grown ever since. They didn't just copy it either. They developed their own style, their own talent.
And that talent is world-class now, isn't it? You see so many Japanese players making a huge impact in the U.S. major leagues and vice versa.
Absolutely. Dyer points that the level of play is really comparable. Players move back and forth all the time.
Yeah.
That says a lot about the quality of Japanese pro baseball.
Now, the author, Dyer, he's based near Kobe. So he talks about the teams there, the Oryx Buffaloes and the Hanshin Tiger.
That's right. Kobe's got both. The Buffaloes have their fans, for sure, but the Hanshin Tigers, they're probably the bigger name, more famous, wider support.
Okay.
They're one of the oldest teams, too. Super passionate fan base, even if, well, they haven't won the most championships over the years.
Right, so maybe like one of those beloved teams where the loyalty runs incredibly deep, regardless of the trophy count.
That's a good way to put it. And their stadium, Koshin Stadium, is legendary. It's actually in Nishinomiya, which is between Osaka and Kobe. Been their home since 1936.
A real baseball cathedral, then.
Yeah.
And they have a big rival, I gather. A team that has won more.
Oh, yeah. Their big rivals are the Yomiuri Giants. Historically, the Giants have been way more successful in terms of titles. That rivalry is fierce, adds a whole lot of spice.
Classic sports dynamic. Now, Dyer apparently wasn't a huge baseball guy himself initially. What changed his mind?
Yeah, that's a key point he makes. He wasn't really into it, but then he went to a live game. And the whole experience just blew him away, even without knowing all the rules inside out. It wasn't just about the sport itself. It was the atmosphere, the energy, everything.
That really says something. So, okay, if you're thinking, maybe I should check this out, what practical stuff does Dyer cover? Tickets, timing?
He gives some good tips. Tickets are roughly $3,000 to $10,000, so about 20 to 70 US dollars maybe, give or take.
Okay, reasonable range.
And plan for about 3 hours for the whole game. Crucially, though, for the big teams, Tigers, Giants, you really need to book ahead, way ahead. Getting tickets on the day is tough.
Good to know. Don't just rock up expecting to get in.
Definitely not for those teams. He even suggests maybe hire a local guide to go with you the first time. Get the full lowdown.
That's actually a smart idea. What about the crowd? What's it like being in the stadium?
It sounds amazing, honestly. He says it's really inclusive, lots of families, people of all ages.
Nice.
But forget any stereotypes about Japanese fans being quiet or reserved. He calls them raucous and vocal.
Really?
Yeah, constant singing, chanting, lots of back and forth teasing between the home and away fans, all good-natured apparently.
Yeah.
And everyone seems to have these inflatable plastic bats they bang together.
Aha, inflatable bats. Love it.
So even if you barely know what's happening on the field, you just get swept up in the noise and the fun.
Sounds like a party as much as a sports event.
Yeah.
And Cochin Stadium itself.
Yeah,
As you said, it's legendary.
it really sounds like it. Dyer talks about walking into this large bowl, just being struck by the scale and history. It's the oldest ballpark still used in Japan, opened way back in 1924.
24. Wow.
And get this, it was once the biggest stadium in all of Asia. Held like 80,000 people at its peak.
80,000. Incredible.
Yeah. It's smaller now, just under 48,000 after some renovations for earthquake safety and accessibility.
Yeah.
But still, steeped in history.
Any famous moments connected to it? Besides, decades of Tigers games.
Well, the big one is Babe Ruth played there.
No way. The Babe. And
Yep.
then?
During his tour in 1934, played an exhibition game at Cochin. There's even a statue of him outside the stadium commemorating the visit. Apparently, it's a big photo spot for fans.
That's amazing. A direct link to baseball royalty. So you're there, soaking in the history.
Yeah.
How do fans show their team spirit, besides being loud?
Oh, team gear everywhere.
Yeah.
Dyer says you see tons of jerseys for the Tigers. It's those distinct black and white stripes with yellow trim. And baseball caps, of course.
Standard fan uniform.
Pretty much. And then there are the mascots. You've got Taraki.
Taraki.
Yeah, Torakki. He's the male tiger. His name's a mix of Tora for tiger and Raki for lucky.
Clever.
And then there's Raki, Rakki, the female tiger mascot. Just lucky.
Cute. What's Taraki like? What does he do?
Sounds like a real character. Dyer describes him as super energetic, always hyping up the crowd, doing routines, being a bit cheeky. Apparently he spent a lot of time trying to woo Raki, but doesn't always succeed.
Mascot romance drama.
Okay, let's talk food and drink. Essential part of the ballpark experience, right?
Absolutely. You've got your standard stuff, hot dogs, burgers, pizza, soda, beer, all that.
The classics.
But Dyer points out you also get Japanese options. Sushi, ramen, even sick, and Japanese whiskey are available.
Oh, nice. So you can have a truly Japanese experience even with the food.
Exactly. And the beer situation sounds unique. They have vendors, often students apparently, walking around with actual kegs strapped to their back.
He's on their backs. Seriously.
Yeah, pouring fresh draft beer right there in the stands. That is commitment to fresh beer. Wow. And wasn't there something about balloons, a Tigers thing?
Yes, the screaming balloons. It's this big tradition at the end of Tigers' home games.
Screaming balloons?
Well, they're long, thin yellow balloons. Tens of thousands of fans inflate them and then release them all at once at a certain point, usually the seventh inning stretch or after a win. Makes a kind of whooshing or screaming sound en masse. It looks incredible, apparently.
Tens of thousands. That must be a sight.
Definitely. But Dyer adds a little note. Don't expect to see it at the Giant Stadium in Tokyo. It's banned there.
What is that?
Apparently, Tigers fans tried to do it during an away game there once, and let's just say it didn't go over well. So, strictly a home game thing for the Tigers now.
Okay, noted. Home games only for the balloon spectacle. What about the best time of year to go? Japan can get pretty hot and humid, right?
Yeah, Dyer advises maybe avoiding the absolute peak of summer if you can. July, August can be pretty intense.
Makes sense.
The season runs from late March all the way through to November, including playoffs, so you've got a pretty wide window in spring and autumn when the weather's likely nicer.
Good tip. And getting to Cochin Stadium.
Right.
Sounds like you need the right station.
Crucial point, yeah. You need Cochin Station. That's Koshin. It's on the Hanshin Dentetsu line.
Pension line. Got it.
The station's literally right outside the stadium, connected by an underpass. Super convenient. There's another station nearby called Kushinguchi, but that's on a different line, the JR Tokaido line, and it's further away, less convenient.
Don't mix them up, then.
Definitely not. Dyer also says, yeah, expect crowded trains on game days, but people are usually in good spirits.
Yep.
Oh, and a great practical tip.
Yeah.
Buy your return train ticket when you first arrive at Cochin Station.
To avoid the queues after the game lets out.
Exactly. Saves you a big hassle later when everyone's trying to leave at once.
Smart thinking.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, not everyone visiting Japan will be New Kobe. Are there other places to catch a game?
Oh, for sure. Dyer makes it clear that professional teams are scattered all over Japan. Pretty much any major city will have a team nearby.
So the experience isn't unique to just the Tigers?
No, he suggests you'll likely get a similar kind of passionate atmosphere and unique cultural experience, whichever team you go see. He recommends checking out the list of teams, finding their websites for tickets.
Any good resources he mentions?
Yeah, he shouts out JapaneseBaseball.com, Says it's a really extensive site with info on all the teams, how to get to the stadium, stuff like that.
Perfect. So plenty of options then.
Definitely. Worth looking into if you're traveling around Japan.
Okay, so wrapping this up, we've seen how baseball, maybe surprisingly for some, has become this huge sporting passion in Japan, right alongside, or maybe even surpassing sumo.
Yeah, its American roots are interesting, but how it's become uniquely Japanese is the real story.
Absolutely. And that fan culture. Wow. Loud, passionate, fun. And attending a game, especially somewhere historic like Koshin, sounds like it's about so much more than just 9 innings.
It really seems like a must-do cultural experience, even if you're not a diehard baseball fan going in.
So hopefully you, listening, now have a better feel for this slice of Japanese culture, maybe beyond the usual images.
It's a great example of how something imported can totally transform and take on a life of its own in a new place.
It really is. Which kind of leaves you thinking, this blend of American sport and uniquely Japanese culture. What other things that seem imported on the surface might have these really fascinating, unexpected local twists in Japan, or anywhere else for that matter?
That's a good question. Plenty to potentially explore there.
Definitely something to chew on. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.